It can be quite hard to fathom the secrets that some people can hold for the rest of their life. And this story is a perfect example of the fact that some people are perfectly capable of doing that. Around 95% of properties in the UK have a mains drainage unit, and this connects the shower, toilet, sink and washing machine into a nearby sewer. This is maintained by a local water or sewage company, but 5% of properties are not situated near a mains, and they have their own self-contained drainage system. And this is usually a septic tank, and in this story we learn about how that resulted in the police overlooking a major aspect of a murder and a woman's body not being found for nearly 40 years. David Venables was a pig farmer, and now he's 89 years old, and he's only just been convicted of the murder of his former wife in the Kempsey village in Worcestershire. On Friday the 15th of July he was found guilty at Worcester Crown Court, and he'll be sentenced on the 20th of July at 2 p.m. This story goes back to 1982, and David Venables reported his 48-year-old wife Brenda missing, and an investigation was launched by West Mercia Police. They searched the local areas, including the river, and the case continued as a missing person inquiry until 2019, when a routine maintenance of the septic house at the Kempsey home, where the couple lived, recovered human remains. The septic tank is literally just a giant tank that they put under the ground, and this is used to be able to get rid of waste in the house. There is not many reasons apart from maintenance as to why you would go underground to see the tank. Upon the discovery of the human remains, they ran DNA testing, and it came back as Brenda's remains, and the cause of death was unable to be established due to the amount of time that had passed. Police would then arrest her husband, who 4 years earlier had moved out of the farm into a bungalow only a mile away. During the 5-week trial that took place this year, the court heard that the couple was in a very unhappy marriage, and this had been going on for 14 years, and David had an affair with another woman. They believe this is when David killed Brenda and hid her body in the septic tank before reporting her missing. The nieces and nephews of Brenda today said in court, "We are relieved after the 40-year wait, and at last we have justice for Brenda. David can no longer get away with what he did, and he hid her body and all of the deceit, lies and fabrication." The family said they wish Brenda had been able to leave her marriage, and they emphasised that there are good people out there who can and will help you, but back in 1982 it wasn't so easy. During the trial, PC Peter Sharrock, who took part in the police searches, told Worcester Crown Court that the tank was apparently overlooked. The jury heard that there was a high-profile search for Mrs. Venables, and this involved dogs, boats and a helicopter. They checked waterways, fields, woods and farm buildings, but Mr. Sharrock, a retired police officer, said that he was not aware of anybody searching the chamber, and he said, "I never took part in any search of the tank. I walked past it many times to go to the river," and he said nobody mentioned searching the tank. He said in court that media coverage of the scene triggered memories from when he was there back in 1982. He said in a statement, "As soon as I saw the aerial view, I remembered what we had done." And he said, "I recall seeing a lump of concrete in the yard, and the pictures in the news showed how it was surrounded by bushes and trees." He said they were directed to search the woodland, and they did not focus any attention on the septic tank. He also said in court as well that due to the fact that he grew up in a built-up area, he wasn't aware of septic tanks, and this was not a major part of the investigation. Speaking on behalf of West Mercia Police, Detective Sergeant James Beard said, "We're very welcome of the verdict. Justice has now been done. The terrible truth of how Brenda was killed by somebody who was meant to care for her." Brenda's nephews said they was very relieved that this was over, and firstly they would like to thank everybody that worked on the case over the last 3 years in the most recent trial, and they thanked the police, the prosecution and the homicide support and the witnesses in the case, the barristers, the judge and also the jury at Worcester Crown Court for all the time and effort they put in to make the conclusion. They said they felt utter horror and despair after they discovered that Brenda was murdered. She was no harm to anybody, and she was a gentle, quiet woman, and we will never know how she died or how much she suffered. The torment of her body being found in the septic tank will never leave us, and it haunts us every single night. We have to come to terms with the repulsive and shocking place that she was discovered. Her body was dishonoured every single day for 30 years as he continued to use the tank for waste from the home. Brenda was robbed of her dignity and it was taken in death. And the family said that they have been through hell not knowing what happened to her for over 37 years. They go on to mention the fact that domestic violence was very different back in 1982, and they are very happy that nowadays things are improved and there is a lot of resources that women can use if they find themselves in these situations. And also to think about the fact of how this was overlooked as well. Everybody knows from watching CSI that the first person that would be investigating would be the husband. This woman had no other enemies is even more of a mystery as to why it took so long for them to realise this. So I really appreciate you joining me for this story, and I'd really want to hear what people have to say on this. Please don't forget to pay your respects to Brenda in the comments, and I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Peace.